ロサンゼルス、ドジャースは最近のロードトリップでのパフォーマンスに懸念が広がっています。KIMES のジャック・ハリス氏とディラン・ヘルナンデス氏はドジャースの現状についてユーモラスな対談を行いました。彼らは守備の不安定さ、怪我による投手陣の層の薄さ、そして期待される佐々木朗希投手の将来性について議論しました。特にジャーナリストのプラスケ氏が予想したドジャース37-0勝利が最近のアウェーゲームでの不振により現実からかけ離れてしまったことが話題となりました。
Who's this Rory person you're talking about? All right, well, the Dodgers are no longer undefeated, Dylan. Far from it. They lost both series on this trip. They dropped 2 in Philly. They almost got swept by the Nationals in D.C. And some concerns for the first time about the way they played, about the defense, about the pitching staff, which is without Blake Snell now. What did you make of these 6 games and kind of some of the, after how well the first week went, some of the flaws that might have gotten exposed about, you know, or what this team will have to deal with this year?
Yeah, well, the defensive miscues, right, are somewhat unexpected given that what we saw in the World Series, where the Yankees were the ones kind of throwing the ball and dropping it and everything, and, you know, the Dodgers were kind of a fundamentally sound team. That said, if you kind of take a step back,
as the president pointed out in his speech at the White House this week.
Oh, that's right. Well, we got to get into that.
Somebody did a lot of research for him to be like, oh, the Dodgers were the more fundamental team.
Do you think let's just segue there real quick.
Oh, great.
Do you think the Trump administration did their research by reading your stories?
I don't know.
How much pride would that give you, knowing if you knew that President Trump was reading? Because they had arms, but they were healthy, but they weren't.
Maybe he was reading the coffee table book that we put out. Like, that's, you know, kind of more a nice encapsulation of the whole season, which you can still buy, by the way. Yeah, I don't think they're daily readers of the Los Angeles Times there. No, I don't.
You don't think they are? I get a lot of those kind of like weird, you know, like, I'm going to drop my subscription, and clearly don't subscribe. Like, the grammar's terrible. They look like Trump tweets, right? Periods all over the place, like weird capitalization. I mean, he read better than I thought.
What, like his speech?
Yeah, like when he was reading. Yeah. I didn't think he could.
I mean, you know, he puts on a good show in the room.
Yeah. So, okay, well, anyway, going back to the Dodgers defense.
A seamless segue back.
Yeah, but look, right, they were going back to the Mookie Betts at shortstop thing. They were going to give him this opportunity. I mean, I think it was kind of pretty clear at that point that, okay, well, you know, we're the Dodgers. We're going to get to October anyway. We have the luxury of just kind of figuring this stuff out and dealing with it later. You know, so when I look at the defensive stuff, I'm not like too alarmed in the sense that I just kind of figure, right, they'll get to late August again, and, you know, if Mookie's a major league shortstop, he stays there, and if they're not, they move him back to the outfield, and they'll be a very good defensive team again. You know, the pitching stuff,
or second base,
right? Yeah, but they'll do whatever they have to do to just kind of clean that up. You know, and as far as the pitching goes, I don't know. I still think, I mean, yeah, I guess these depth guys weren't quite as.
Well, I mean, the problem there is,
because what I've always said, right, is like they have a bunch of guys that can beat the Rockies on a Wednesday.
Yes,
and you know they ran out.
Apparently not the Nationals on a Tuesday, unfortunately.
Right. So. Yeah, they ran out a couple guys there, right? That I mean, what do you kind of make?
I mean, well, the thing is that they don't have their full complement of depth at the moment, right? Like Justin Wrobleski and Landon Knack were the depth guys they turned to last year. Wrobleski didn't pitch great last year. Knack was a lot better. I think it was surprising to see him struggle as much as he did. But it's a reminder that, yeah, I think in the long term, like, they're going to be okay. I think even with, like, if they have injuries on the pitching staff, they're going to be better suited to deal with them. But when Shohei Ohtani's out, when Tony Gonsolin is out, when Clayton Kershaw's out, and then somebody else from the main group gets hurt, you still have some questions. And I think it probably, like, the talent of this team, they're still going to win. Like, we're talking about a bad road trip. I think they're still on pace for like 115 wins right now or something.
Oh, they're still going to get to 120. Yeah. I was thinking about look, I want to make something clear. Plashke was wrong. He's wrong, period. I still have a chance to be right. I just want to put that out there.
But in specific moments, they can still end up being shorthanded pitching wise, I think. And that's kind of what you saw these last couple of days. And then, on top of that, I think defensively, the bigger worries that I would have, it's honestly less about Mookie Betts, because I actually think, if you look at this national series, he misses the ball on Monday in that first game where it's this like hard one hopper that he just didn't get a good read on. The bounce kind of stayed down on him. It's a tough play, but he couldn't make it. He spent the next couple days working on that kind of play. Now, that one was to his forehand, but on Wednesday, he comes back in that first inning and ends up saving a run on a hard one-hopper to his backhand that he gets to. And he was saying afterwards, like, that's part of this, right? Like, that's a play that he'll probably only experience 5 times over the course of a season or something, but he misses one. He was able to, work on it over a couple days, improve at it. So I think that's just part of the growth process there. I think some of the other defensive issues we've seen can, maybe are bigger questions, I think, especially in the outfield. Like, that's an area where the defense is, at least when Michael Conforto, Teoscar Hernandez, and Andy Pages are your main 3 outfielders, that could be a weak spot. And it's something that I think as you kind of start looking longer term over the course of the year, it's like, okay, either those guys have to hit well, and I think this especially applies to somebody like Pages. It's like either those guys have to hit well, or that's an area where, again, longer term, I think if you're the Dodgers, you have to start kind of thinking about how could we improve that? Do we need to put Tommy Edman in the outfield more often? Do we need to kind of rearrange the infield a little bit because of that? So again, and not to make like too much out of 6 games, but those are some of the things that I kind of felt pop up on this trip. Is you saw some of the vulnerabilities. They also made, bad base running mistakes. Tyler Glasnow just like melted down in the rain in Philadelphia. But there are some structural weaknesses with this team that did get exposed on this trip that I just think longer term this season, are going to become questions about, okay, as they start thinking about towards the end of the year in October, how can you work around those things and try to get back to being the team they were in the postseason last year when they were really fundamentally sound and kind of could rely on their defense in the World Series.
The thing that gives me kind of some peace of mind there about the defense is the fact that I think you have an in-house solution in Edman.
Right.
It's not like you have to go out and get the guy. I think it's pretty obvious what it is. You keep, again, Pages is hitting right now, so you kind of give him the rope to see if, this is kind of a tenable situation. I'm not necessarily sure it is, at least with him in center field. The pitching to me, though, is kind of, they don't have like their full kind of range of depth right now, but they're never going to, right? These guys, and kind of you talk about these main guys, there are a lot of guys with, that they're looking at, again, even Roki Sasaki, the young kid, Sasaki himself talked about having injury concerns and using that as part of his explanation for why he came to the United States as early as he did. Obviously, Yamamoto was sidelined for like a long time last year. Glasnow, right? That's just like a ticking time bomb. There's, even last year,
I think I heard you on another show equate Snell and Glasnow as like combined.
Yeah, if you get
season out of.
Well, that's the thing, right? You get one full season out of those 2 guys, and they're paying them what, like a combined, like what,
300 million?
Well, yeah, whatever. Right. Yeah, you could argue that's a $300 million pitcher.
Sure. Yeah. So I think with Snell's injury, this is something he said he'd been dealing with for a couple weeks. It doesn't sound very serious. Like, he's going to start playing catch again on Monday. I think over the last couple of years, I can't remember any Dodger starter going on the injured list and then playing catch again by the start of the next week. So this seems like more of a minor thing.
Minor or phantom?
No, minor. Like, it's there. I think it probably is. He wouldn't use it. He didn't want to blame his kind of erratic first couple starts on it, but that was probably part of it.
Let me rephrase that. Would Kershaw have pitched?
I think yes. I think Clayton Kershaw would pitch through basically anything, especially in the prime of his career. But again, like a situation like that, like the Snell thing, is partially the Dodgers trying to protect against a longer term injury and being okay with, if we have to use Wroblewski and Knack and a couple games against the Nationals in April and we lose them or, split them, being okay with that because they know they're going to win so many games. I think, again, the whole trick of this is trying to have as many of these guys healthy by the end of the season. And I think where it's really going to lead to are probably some frustrating moments during the regular season for fans wondering like, okay, why are they being so cautious with this guy? Why are they being so cautious with Shohei Ohtani? It's the same thing with Yamamoto and Sasaki, right? Like they're not, the reason Landon Knack was starting Wednesday is because Yamamoto isn't pitching on a regular 5-day turn like most other big league starters. So every week, at least for this first month, like that last Wednesday game, they're going to have either to do a bullpen game or kind of figure out something else so that they could keep Yamamoto and Sasaki on a once-a-week schedule. So again, these are all kind of short-term costs for what they hope is a long-term reward. And I think the way that last year played out really hammers this home because, last year, like with Glasnow, he went on the IL a couple times. I think they felt really good about, okay, he's going to be available for us by the end of the season. And then he wasn't, and it almost completely derailed, their ability to progress in the postseason. So that's kind of how I feel about the Snell injury. I think we're going to see this kind of playbook used a lot with a lot of different guys over the course of the year. And yeah, the difference that the Dodgers will be hoping for by the time they get to May or June or July is that Tony Gonsolin will be available, is that Clayton Kershaw will be back, and he's actually progressing pretty steadily right now. He's already back to throwing live BPs and things, and then eventually Shohei Ohtani will be back too. So yeah, in the short term, the depth is not as good as it looked on MLB Network when they were posting the graphics of their 15 starting pitchers or whatever coming into the year. But yeah, is also a reminder, like, even if you have this many guys, you're still going to encounter potential issues during the year. And if you had a situation like this closer to the end of the year, like that's where the risk comes in.
I kind of have a feeling Kershaw is going to be a lot better than kind of people are expecting to. Like, I think people kind of forget, right? When he's out there and he's like reasonably healthy, he's still pretty darn effective.
Well, his arm's healthy right now. He was obviously in DC on Monday with the team. He talked about.
What'd you think of his speech?
It was good. I mean, I think that's obviously for a lot of reasons, a difficult situation to try to like give a speech there and be profound. And also, when he talked to the reporters at the ballpark later that day, it was actually interesting because he just brought up unsolicitedly about, obviously people were wondering if we should go to the White House or not. The way I look at it is, if you get an opportunity to go to the White House and go to the Oval Office and go with your teammates, like it doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter who is the president at that time. And I think his, for saying that, like his speech also hit on, like trying to give more profound, like, hey, what this team did last year, watching him as a spectator, like that's something that should inspire people across all sorts of different specters about perseverance and all that. So I thought it was pretty good overall.
Yeah, the first two games too, I just kind of thought the general, approach of just kind of going away from guys, right? It wasn't just the fact that he was missing. It was just kind of that he was missing away. To me, it kind of spoke to a little bit of this, like, oh my God, I'm in the major leagues now. I can't throw it over the plate. If not, these guys are going to absolutely punish me. Again, reminds me of Yamamoto last year,
yep.
Right? And
who, by the way, like one of the keys to his success, like Austin Barnes was talking about this, he's challenging guys inside, it's setting up the splitter to fade away from him. Like that's been one of the big adjustments he's made so far this year.
Yeah, and kind of sometimes, right? Like just don't overthink it. Like it's, you have a great running back, just hand them the ball. Like just don't get cute, man. And look, and until they hit it, I don't think that there's kind of any problem. Just kind of, well, let's see if they can hit it or not, right? I mean, they hit it, then you got to figure it out. But like, don't go away from like what's made you successful up to this point. I did think that last, and it's funny because last night I was in, where was I? Dallas.
Dude, you're at Luca Capital.
Well, again, I slept even less than you did probably last night.
That's
so
true.
So I was just following the game on the game tracker. And so my understanding, Ohtani gets on base in the seventh inning. Seventh?
Yeah. It was like a booted grounder.
Steals a base. And then I had to go to listen to JJ Redick. But I just remember thinking when he got on second, like, okay, they're going to win the game here.
No, they did.
And they did, right? And that's kind of again, I know it's kind of easy to look at these games kind of in the right when they got hit with the Trump jinx and they lost 3 in a row.
You don't lie. You're disappointed that they won yesterday and you couldn't make this a thing. The White House. I had a lot of White House curse tweets in my replies this week. And then you click on the hashtag. It's great. You click on that hashtag when people tweeted at you and you just see every team that's lost a game over the years after they go to the White House. It's like the Penguins lost 10-1 to somebody or to the Capitals one year.
Who was the president then?
That might have been a Trump one too. I'm trying to remember. It was like 2017 or something. But these went back to like 2010 tweets where we're talking about like ancient Twitter archives here. So it was good.
But I know so they had those games there, but that kind of game pattern
we've seen a lot of.
Yeah, which is kind of what we saw early. I'm just kind of so I don't know. I'm not sure again, right? They did run out a couple pitchers out there again, right? Who, probably shouldn't be in the major leagues right now.
To put it nicely. Dave Robertson say we don't want to get swept by these guys. And then a minute he's like, oh, you don't want to get swept by anybody. But yeah,
but the fact that they kind of came back and they won this game, the fact that they can right that's not gone from their arsenal.
Yeah,
I still think it's kind of a good sign.
Yes,
they'll probably come back here and do better. Did Teoscar say something about cold weather or something? But I saw something about that on Twitter.
Yeah, it was very cold. And depending who you asked in the room,
is that why your coffee wasn't as good? Your fingers
it was nice. It was nice and warm in the Nationals Park press box because they keep the windows closed. Philadelphia was not quite as nice. Yeah, Dave Robertson. I want to use that as an excuse. All right. Well, I'll end here. Now that you've seen Luka have his Ohtani-esque moment, as you wrote, who is the more clutch player, Dylan? Luka or Ohtani?
I mean, it's got to be Ohtani. I mean, Luka's done it. Well, Luka's done it as far as I'm concerned, he's done it once. He wasn't doing it in the middle.
Counterpoint: Luka getting to the finals last year with that Mavericks team.
That's true.
Ohtani didn't drag the Angels to the playoffs, let alone the World Series.
Yeah, but that team was kind of built to. They did a nice job of kind of building a team around Luka, I thought.
Yeah, just
not to get
blow it up the next
not to get too old school, but it's like the Iverson Sixers, right? If you're gonna have that type of guy that's just gonna go nuts, right? Get a bunch of guys that can kind of defend and rebound and stuff. And
the Dodgers got Ohtani, and then they got 30 pitchers, and just fingers crossed that they all stay healthy. I'll give a shout out to the bullpen. The bullpen's been really good this year, and is probably a big reason why the starting pitching depth stuff won't matter so much, or as much as it would for some teams. All right, well.
Yeah, I got nothing, man. I'm just fried.
I might actually just go to the driving range now. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, you are desperate. Have you been to the Top Golf here?
Yes. Chris Taylor did a charity event there a couple of years ago.
Oh.
That's cool.
Well, you had to work.
I live right over here, so yes, I've been for fun. Although the Westchester golf course, great public.
God, I miss night boxing, man. You've spent a week in Vegas and just one night. There was always the night at the Top Golf at the MGM Grand, man. That was fun.
I'm glad that your fond memories of Vegas revolve around. Oh, they opened a Top Golf. Thank gosh. Yeah, running enough stuff to do. Okay.
All right.
We're giving Mark, who's supposed to be on vacation right now, a lot to edit. So
I'm trying to kind of get into something, right? I mean, because I'm figuring a lot of this is going to get cut, but we need to give him a nice landing spot. We got to keep trying here, I think. No? Or maybe we just give up.
Right here. Great landing spot. Great. Or a great cold open. We'll see what he does with it.
Hey, well, both of our planes landed. Which is
No, see, you're ruining the nice landing spot.
ロサンゼルス、ドジャースに再び不穏な空気が漂い始めた。注目を集めた今季の遠征ロードにおいて、予想外の不振が続いたことで、チーム内外に懸念の声が広がっている。そんな中、ロサンゼルス、タイムズのジャック、ハリス記者と名物コラムニストのディラン、ヘルナンデス氏が、ドジャースの現状について痛快かつ確信をつく対談を展開した。先週、プラシキが37対0で勝つって予想してたけど、現実は真逆だったね、とヘルナンデス氏が笑いながら語ると、ハリス記者も、これはもう見慣れたショーかもしれない、と自虐的に返した。 冗談交じりのやり取りの裏には、ドジャースの深刻な課題が色濃く浮かび上がっていた。まずやり玉に上がったのが守備の脆さだ。ここ数試合でエラーやミスが頻発し、相手に無駄な得点を許す場面が目立った。これじゃ勝てる試合も落とす。チーム全体の集中力が散漫だ、とヘルナンデス氏は苦言を呈した。加えて、投手陣の台所事情も深刻だ。ローテーションの柱だった複数の先発投手が離脱し、中継ぎ陣への負担が増大している。ベテランと若手のバランスを欠いた現在の布陣では、長丁場のシーズンを戦い抜くには不安が残る。ピッチングの層が薄くなりすぎてる。これは想定外の危機だ、とハリス記者は断言した。そして話題は日本球界の至宝、佐々木朗希へと移った。今季より MLB 移籍の噂が加速している若き大腕に対しても、期待と不安が交錯する。才能は間違いなく本物。でも、メジャーの過密日程と環境にすぐ順応できるかは未知数、とヘルナンデス氏は慎重な姿勢を示した。彼がドジャースに加われば、確かに夢のような話だ。でも今のチームの状況では、佐々木一人に全てを託すのは酷だよ、と語るハリス記者の言葉には、現実的な視点が込められていた。名門球団ドジャースの未来は、果たしてどこへ向かうのか。かつてない期待と不安が交錯する中、ファンの声が選手たちを後押しする力となる。これからの一戦一戦が、チームの進化を問う試練となるだろう。今後の展開を見逃さず、ぜひ、いいね、と、チャンネル登録、をお願いします。